I come back with a new video, with a very quick video on a very hot day. The new, I think it's the 10th studio album of PJ Harvey, Inside the Old Year Dying. It came out yesterday. I'm recording this on July 8th. It came out on Friday, July the 7th. Yeah, it's the first album since the Hope 6 Demolition Project, which was a very political album. Came out in, I hope I don't get this wrong, 2016. You know, about all the crises that were happening around that time. Also the album before, which up until now was my favorite PJ Harvey album, Let England Shake, from I think 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, was kind of a political concept album. You know, Let England Shake was very much about Britain and war, you know, history, you know, poetic history of Britain and war. But now the 10th studio album is a bit, or it's very different. First of all, sound-wise, it doesn't have any of the PJ Harvey rock songs. It's, you know, I don't think there are many or any electric, or at least distorted electric guitars on this album. It's very acoustic, very rural, bucolic sounding album, very folky. You know, if you're a fan of Nick Cave, that was always something, then you would be a fan of PJ Harvey. But this album, or of Björk or something like that. But this album, you know, also if you're a fan of, you know, old 60s weird folk groups, psych folk groups like Incredible String Band or maybe Fairport Convention, you may like this album. You know, the thematically it's based on a poetry book PJ Harvey put out 1 year ago, called Orlam. I haven't read that book, but from what I've heard, it's, you know, it's like a, I hope I don't pick this up wrong, kind of a folk horror poem in the dialect of where she's from the southwest of England. So this album is kind of based, I think, on things that are happening in this book, and it's, you know, it's kind of it's a very poetic album, of course, since it's based on that poetry book, and it's a fantastic album. As I said, it's a folky album, but it's also, you know, it's psych folk or weird folk. It's kind of experimental with, you know, all kinds of noises and noisy stuff happening. But, you know, I think I've listened to it only twice now, and it's very new, so it's hard to make a final judgment here. But I would say this has the potential to be my new favorite PJ Harvey album, or at least almost as good or as good as Let England Shake. Though it's completely different from the way it sounds, which is also great that she's still developing. You know, she's, don't know, more than 25 years in the business, and she's still trying out new things, but it always has her DNA, so it's always something that if you're already a fan, you will enjoy. I think I would say, you know, 2023 hasn't yet been a very good music year for me, for my taste, so maybe it's not that difficult to be my best album of the year yet, but, you know, that's still some kind of accolade, I would say. And yeah, I think this is my favorite album yet in 2023. It's a great album, and yeah, you should check it out. PJ Harvey, Inside the Old Year Dying. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.